Hey guys, today I want to talk about how I set up my business so I'm able to travel while I'm working and how you can do the same. So I started my business back in the day when I was in college, about a decade ago now. I was studying business management with a major in marketing, and back then this really didn't include digital marketing because it was still fairly new. But I've always been very interested in everything digital. So I was very eager to find a way how I can really match these two. The marketing that I'm learning about and also my passion for everything digital. So after doing some research, I decided I would be doing Google Search Ad services for clients. And this is basically how my business got started about a decade ago. And although I mainly provided these services to local businesses, because of my interest in everything digital and also like all the tools that go hand in hand with that, I somewhat accidentally set up my business to be remote from day one. For example, I still remember how amazed people were back in the day about how I could find everything really fast in my well-structured Evernote. Also, how I set up a Basecamp project management tool to collaborate with clients on the different projects that I was doing for them as well. I must admit, this takes some educating your clients about these new tools, but all in all, this went surprisingly well. The purpose for this setup back then was basically making sure that I could do some work when I had some spare time between lectures, or even when I had a day off. This meant that I didn't need to go into an office, although I did like to go to a co-working space back then to learn more about the business side of things, but that's something else. But nowadays, this basically means that I can work from anywhere. Today, I'm mainly focused on strategic growth marketing for B2B companies, running my own e-commerce business, and also trying to keep a regular schedule for creating content like these videos, for example. So let's talk about the tech stack that I'm using for all of this. First of all, we're using Asana for everything work management. If there's a task that needs to be worked on for a client or within the team, it's in Asana. And all the communications about this specific task also happen in Asana, so we can easily find anything that we need when we are working on a specific task. Next, we are also using Slack for all team communications that aren't task specific. And sometimes this will also be used for impromptu meetings during the day. Next, we're using Google Workspace for all office-related applications like email, calendar, Google Docs, Google Sheets, and Drive to have a shared storage system. More recently, I also introduced Loom to create short videos with a screen capture, and this is basically a way to make some impromptu meetings into a video so we can work more synchronously, which is one of the latest things that I'm trying to work towards. And then specifically for the video projects, we're also working with Frame.io, which makes it very easy for me to give feedback to my video editor for example, these videos, so we can have this productive and asynchronous as well. And then last but not least, also one of the more recent additions, I'm also working with Notion, mainly for handling all the creative projects and also for the brainstorming that I'm doing for all the content creation as well. At the beginning of this year, I really put this work from anywhere setup to the test. So at the end of January, I packed my bags and I went to Lagos in the south of Portugal, basically to stay there for a month. But that month ended up being almost half a year, and staying in two different locations while still working on the same projects for the same clients as I was doing in January itself. And I must say, it worked perfectly fine. Of course, the current situation also helped a bit in the acceptance of working remotely, but even before that, I wasn't always in the office when I was working for clients, so the remote setup always has been there, but let's say I've always been in the neighborhood when I needed to go to a client meeting in the same week, let's say. But yeah, the remote capabilities of my setup really stood the test. This period of about half a year when I was in Portugal and Spain ended up being one of the most productive periods that I recently had. And it even pushed me to create even better structures and better procedures to facilitate remote work, not only for me, but also for anyone working with me on the different projects as well. Something that they usually really appreciate. And I think remote work is just the basic way of working nowadays. I'm not saying that I won't go to an office ever again, or that anyone should really, because I also really see the value in meeting people face to face, but I think it will be a very nice combination of the two of them. For example, I also like working from a coffee shop every now and then, just to change things up a bit, because only working at home isn't that nice either. At least it's not for me. No, the next stage in my remote work setup will be to work more asynchronously. I already talked about this a bit in the beginning of the video, but one of the things that I really would like to do is to make sure that meetings are not really necessary. I still would like to have meetings with people because it's also just nice to do, but I think that most of the work can be done in a synchronous way as well, by, for example, using Loom videos. A 30-minute Zoom meeting to give the client a status update on marketing could just as well be a Loom video. This way, we're working asynchronously. I can record the video on my own time. The client can watch the video on his own time. And this way, you can keep your schedule with as much focus time as possible without needing to manage your meetings too much. I understand that this probably will take some extra education for clients as well, to make sure that they see the possibilities and the advantages of using technology to make things more asynchronous. Like I said, I still believe that we need to have like in-person contact and also regular contact in synchronous meetings. This is more for relationship building, I believe, and not as much for getting things done. So yeah, this is basically everything I'm doing to make remote work possible. All the different tools that I'm using. If you have any suggestions or any tips for things that I am doing that you found a better way for, feel free to leave those in the comments. Also, if you learned anything from this video that you will be implementing in your own work, I would love to hear about that as well. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.